I think after you paint a mural for the first time, you begin to see possibilities for all walls.
Monfish! Just chilling, man, chilling.
If I took you to the 7th Avenue alley on the south side of Tucson, Arizona, I could show you where the tips of my fingers turn green from spraying paint on the alleyway walls. I moved to Tucson in January for a program called Border Studies. While I was there, I worked at a community organization called Tierra Y Libertad Organization with another student named Jucelia. While I worked with Tilo, I spent time harvesting food from the community garden, talking to the neighbors, learning about organizing, and my favorite, painting murals. Some call the neighborhood around 6th Avenue and Alleyway Barrio Wakefield, some Wakefield Neighborhood, some Barrio Chicano. Just as there are many names, there are also many stories about the neighborhood. While I was there, I listened to stories about how Tilo started in the neighborhood. I heard memories of people and events. I was told about the alley behind the centro and how the community decided they wanted to change it. The story how I heard it was that the 7th Avenue alley used to be a place where many people would walk in the community, but that it became unclean and unsafe over time. So many people from the community and neighborhood met up in the alley and made two lists, written on the walls of the alley with spray paint. The first was have, tenemos. The second, want, queremos. The list of what the community already had included trash, drugs, and violence. The list of what the community wanted included love, gardens, and murals. The organization planned an alleyway project to transform the space behind their homes, and Gisele and I were lucky to arrive right when the project started and be invited to get involved. On the first Saturday, we cleaned up the alley. Then we spent the next Saturday painting. It was a really hot day, at least for me, being new to Tucson. The sun beamed down, toasty and bright, on the many people who had gathered to participate. Jacob and Mando gave us all a mini workshop on how to use aerosol paint cans. Once we had learned a few skills, we got started. Before I knew it, I was sitting in a circle with Jucelia and new friends, Imelda, Nelda, Giselle, Hilda, Elvia, and Miguel, flipping through books of images and design, and Googling quotes for inspiration. Together we chose Pablo Neruda's quote, "Podrán cortar todas las flores, pero no podrán detener la primavera," to be the theme of our mural. In English, it translates to, "They may cut all the flowers, but they can't stop the spring." I really like this quote because it reminds me that even when the government passes laws that discriminate against some people, and the police in La Migra break apart families by putting people in jail or deportation proceedings, and the state attacks education by banning the Mexican American Studies program, they won't be able to stop the people from coming together in community, fighting back against oppression, and taking back spaces as their own and making them beautiful. For me, that is the spring that Neruda talks about. So we decided some elements that we wanted to include in our mural, like flowers, corn, water, mountains, and the sun. Then we jumped right into painting. Although I painted a little bit of other parts, the main thing I worked on was the corn. I guess this makes sense, because I'm from Indiana and we grow a lot of corn there. Even though we were all working on different parts of the picture, it came together beautifully. I guess that's collaboration. My favorite part was that the corn was right next to the ocean in the painting, where Elvia had painted lots of different color fish. I decided to try something a little different and paint corn that had fallen to the ground, but try to get it to look like fish. I guess I get a little bit silly sometimes, but it actually turned out to be a pretty cool way to transition from the cornfield to the ocean. Once we finished painting the image, we asked Nelda to write our quote on the wall. We were nervous about painting the words with black paint over the art we had just worked so hard on. We didn't want there to be any mistakes. So Nelda went carefully, letter by letter. Because the community is bilingual, with some people who speak English and some people who speak Spanish, and many who speak both, we wrote the quote in both languages on the wall. I was so surprised that we actually finished the whole mural in one day. I was really proud of our group since most of us hadn't spray painted very much before, and we had never worked together before. It was really cool to see how the alley went from having blank, gray, concrete walls to having bright, colorful wall with corn sprouting, the sun shining, and waves crashing. Other people worked on other murals, and we continued to paint every weekend so that every wall in the alley would have art on it. When I left Tucson in May and went back to Indiana, there were still some blank walls. Now I can see through pictures online that they are almost done painting all of them. I really hope to return to Tucson someday soon to visit my friends, ride my bike to the centro, and see all of the completed art. But for now, I'm happy to know that with my cornfish painting, I left a little bit of me behind there on the walls. I think I'll get started painting murals in my community in Indianapolis.
Dance. Ah!